naysayers will always present it like you did not get that correctly. But the truth is opposite. We are getting more attention while we are slowly grinding up in the price, and the Google Trends actually shows us that people are getting more and more interested. They are searching for this one more. While reading this, yes, it's cool. Now, whenever we see something like these, never be confused because they actually use the term stablecoin. We went through high-level documents previously and explained that. So there is no reason for getting confused or stressed. Now, it is time for us to get strong basis of what type of technology we are in and what we are studying, because this gives us a lot more perspective and what it intends to do and what is happening around the world is kind of something we really have to connect with ourselves. Now, that's not it. As we go further, we have more and more level document, a series of documents which can actually show us and educate us about this technology and what they are looking at, how they are looking at it to adopt it. Now, as we understand that, we'll have to go through, say, from page 1 to page 10 slowly, but understanding that, because that actually widens our knowledge level to the next level, and keeping up SI family about all these updates and the information is needed so that you will stay here and understand this technology. If you don't, you won't actually realize the potential of this asset, because we are entering into a new era which is highlighted in all the different documents that we are entering into a new era. The future is here. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. As we discussed in the recent videos, we are still following that trajectory to the upside. That's actually giving us more bullishness. If we manage to break above this area, which we discussed in our recent videos, say 0.265, 0.27, that should act as a bit of resistance, or at least some of the sellers should actually come in at that particular point. So if we break above that, retest and bounce from that, that's going to be a huge confirmation for the next bull market. But keep an eye on that area and the breakouts, because that may actually suck in a lot more buyers and sellers. But if it is a false breakout like this one, which happened previously, you entered there at the wrong time, if that's the case. And those guys who entered the market here, they are still waiting for the price to go above that area. That's 0.35, right? So we don't have to make that mistake again. Instead, we can actually look at the 20-day moving average is now giving us a signal that it's gonna cross the 200-day moving average, adding to the bullishness, which happened previously here too, and the price actually went, say, from 0.24 to around 0.34. So that's like 0.1 cents to the upside. But at that time, we reached that resistance line. But here, in this case, if we are doing the same, we would be actually crossing this particular resistance line. And at the same time, if we actually compare what was happening back then, the MACD was kind of, at the top, it was getting exhausted on a daily chart. But now we haven't actually reached that level. So, we still have room to run in MACD. If we confirm that with RSI, yes, we still have room to run in the RSI on a daily. And then if we zoom out and look into a weekly chart, there's a lot more room in the RSI so that it may actually go up. Now it's actually reaching 60-day mark, 60 point mark on RSI. And interestingly, we are getting closer and closer to that positive range on a weekly for XRP. Now, if you actually look at this, we previously discussed it based on these moving averages and the volume, right? When the volume is reducing, the price is going to the upside. And majority of us were thinking the opposite. And previously, when we were going through the chart analysis for a lot of time, we were actually highlighting that the breakout comes when the volume is going to the downside and someone pushes it suddenly, right? And then we can actually see massive volume coming in and the price kind of fluctuating to the upside. So when you actually see these kind of volume rising, and the price going down, don't be surprised. And when the volume is going down, we are kind of getting a consolidation and getting a pump to the upside. Now, if you actually generally compare that with the general altcoin, say, market, look at Ethereum or the altcoin market cap itself. So if you actually consider the general market and the Ethereum here, it's also breaking to the upside. And as we talked previously, this level, which was acting as a resistance for Ether from say around 320 to around 380, if Ethereum is surpassing that area, that's kind of a added bullish symbol for the entire altcoin. So now we can just jump into the altcoin market caps and check what it shows us, right? So when we actually look at the altcoin market cap, that kind of gives us a signal that we are entering into a bullish territory. Like if you remember previously, we actually went through the technical analysis and we analyzed that based on the trend line support and resistance we drew back then, right? So if you consider that we actually broke above that particular area, we kind of stayed there. If you that this is in a weekly chart, right? So we on a daily basis, if you look at that, you'll be getting a confirmation, a bounce from there, and the RSI is entering onto overbought area on a weekly chart for altcoin market. That's kind of a bullish symbol for altcoins. Now, yes, Bitcoin is also moving up high. That doesn't actually mean Bitcoin is going to go down. It just means that the Bitcoin dominance may actually go down. So if you actually want to look at that, can actually come here and check the Bitcoin dominance and see how it is actually reacting. You can see that the Bitcoin dominance is falling below the moving averages. Now it's below the 20 and 50-day moving average, and both the moving average are slowly slanting to the downside. So as it go downside, you can actually see the MACD is going to the downside. It's in the negative area. So it gives more room for the altcoins to run. Now with these technicals, when we actually look at the fundamental side of it, this is really interesting, right? Previously, we were actually getting something like this, the trend of people coming in or searching about or Ripple and understanding the fundamentals was kind of back in 2017, early days of 2017. I was there and I experienced that. So, I know majority of you would be new, or if you were there, you also know that it's kind of feeling like the early 2017 and we are preparing for a bull run. So that's kind of a good feeling. Now this one from Ian Nothing actually shows us this is only possible with Ripple. Now yes, it's completely true, we can agree on that, because when they transferred $4 million in XRP, it just took 4 seconds for that entire transaction to get complete, and the fee for that was 10 cents. Imagine currently you're going to a bank, you're going to send just $1,000 from one country to another. You would be paying them a fee around $50 to $75 for that $1,000 transaction, and you won't be getting that $1,000 at that end. Say you're sending money from say country A to country B, you are paying say $1,000 and fee, which is say 40 or 70, and then still you won't be getting that $1,000 at the end of the day at country B. So considering that you are getting that here in 4 seconds with this much of fees, that's life-changing for many individuals. Now, this is a bit long video than usual, but we'll actually go into that area which says that is important for us.
Have you with us today? What is the distinction of your study? What does this drive forward about how technology is changing money?
Well, this is the digital currencies are a revolution, right? For the first time in 300 years, we can replace cash with something digital. Now, we've already replaced bank accounts. We have digital bank accounts, but think of everything going digital and what possibilities that creates, but also what challenges. If, for example, the government issues this digital currency, the amount of data it's going to collect, the amount of privacy it's going to violate, and what concerns that raises. Those are what are made possible by these new technologies, cryptocurrencies, government digital currencies. That's what this report is about.
So that should be digested nice and clear. They are kind of, now he was actually a central bank governor back in India previously, so the statement comes from him. You have to understand that's the perspective of a central banker, and he's a highly educated guy, so we can actually take some of his notes in which he is stating there can be privacy violation if governments are coming out with their own coins like this. That is the retail central bank digital currency. But if it is a synthetic central bank digital currency, then it's being issued by a third party, right, which is approved by the governments and the central banks. So that is kind of a good thing. Now, when that is the case, it doesn't actually take in all the privacy concerns, right? So still the government has to go through the regulations, like they have to actually control where the money goes. There is no terrorism, there is no money laundering. They have to take care of every stuff like that, and still give the people what they need, which is the privacy of transactions, which they actually have to, right? Now in the cash, they are using that, but the governments are sucking out the cash from the economy, making it a cashless economy and going digital in every way. So people who have that kind of a cognitive ability will be going into cryptocurrency, so that they can store their currencies in one side and governments can actually follow them easily, right? So in this one, first thing, technology, how technology is changing money. And he states cryptocurrencies or digital assets are a revolution, and that is a reality, right? Why? Because central banks, if they are going to do that, not everyone is going to go into that. So synthetic central bank digital currency can be something which is coming soon. Now, this one's from Status is actually highlighting a book here in which they actually shows you a systemic hegemonic currency, a stable coin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks could be valuable for cross-border payments. Now, we went through that. What was that? Synthetic central bank digital currency. They also use the term stable coin, but they gave the definition for that. They were not talking about a token which was kind of valuing at $1, like Tether or say USDC or something like that. They were talking about a digital asset which was comparatively stable in price. Say if we compare that to BTC, if we compare that to Ether, it was comparatively stable. And now if you look at the charts, what you will understand is when all coins like Ether is actually going up 10%, XRP is going like 3 to 5%. Comparatively, it's more stable than others. So that's just an example which I use. You can even come up with assets which just moved 1%. That would be a different story. But when you find those things, you also have to connect all other parameters like the scalability, first thing. Second thing, the regulatory clarity. Third thing, the connection with central banks and governments. Fourth, the adoption rate from commercial banks. So these are all have to be connected together to understand that. Now, the next one, when we actually moving into these three tweets, say first, second and third, this is kind of the final area where we are looking at replacing the SWIFT entirely. Some countries will actually do that because they don't actually need US to rule them. Say we are going to sanction you, you can't do this. So automatically they are jumping into this side. And what was the aim of company Ripple? Ripple is working on a replacement for SWIFT. How to get all of the payment providers onto ILP and how to use XRP as on-demand liquidity. So they are working on that, right? Now, as technology companies like Facebook is coming into this particular sector, which is payment sector, which is a huge area. They're going to be competing in a space they can't depend upon technology like SWIFT to compete with technology like Facebook. If Facebook is coming on and taking on banks and financial institutions like MoneyGram, Western Union and all, as they talked initially, banks and financial institutions cannot actually rely on a technology which is 50 years old. So they need something of present or at least for future. And then you have DLT, blockchain, and it is changing, right? China is going out of this one, but it won't actually be Ripple, that's for sure, because they are looking at a central bank digital currency which is fully controlled by the government. As we know, it's an authoritarian state, so it will always be like that. But if we look at different nations, this tweet shows you like in Australia, banks are stopping accepting cash. That's a surprising thing, right? From next month, it's not like next 10 years. This is happening now. And if you want to act, you should be acting quickly. Cash deposits will cease being accepted at Westpac branches. 30th August 2020, that's next month. So that's really soon, right? They're taking out the cash from the economy, going digital fully. Now, we just saw that Bank of America is going to create mobile wallets everywhere. They are targeting on Asia Pacific, they are targeting on MIA. All different arenas being targeted, and different governments are coming up with different initiatives. Just the name will be different, the target would be different, but the first thing, the priority for them, it's all the same. Just what they show in front of the retailers or the common man would be different based on their tradition, their requirements and all. That's just the politics and how it is working. Now, this tweet kind of shows interoperability and standards were front and center for all discussion. Glad to participate and contribute. So in these documents, It's not one thing small. Now we have a lot of documents through which we have to go. That gives us kind of the perspective, right? We selected the right asset, and they explain why that reason, like the reasoning which we actually took while we came into this asset, is kind of being concreted again and again. Now if you go through these documents, it kind of gives us a bit more knowledge so that we can educate others about this asset, right? Now when we actually look at this one, interoperability is key, and they are looking at the technology like blockchain, cryptocurrencies, stablecoin, central bank digital currency, cross-border tax system, which all are like this, right? But in between, at the bottom, you have several things which has to be the other end, right? The protocols, the security tokens, and others. But it lies on interoperability. So what we just saw from Chris here is everyone taking everyone into IntelliJ protocol for moving value. So this is a simple thing to understand. Now when we see R3, they actually shows us a different data. Now we have to actually go through these all documents. Say we can directly go into R3's document, but going into R3's documents along with other documents which kind of is being referred in that first document will actually enable us to understand much more. Say these are happening. Now this is targeting India, right? So we'll actually go through all of that. So now we'll try to go through them quickly, which parts are important to us. Okay. Now they are talking about the standards, how the standards has to be changed from the current thing. They are looking at cross-border interoperable blockchain infrastructure, and they are taking into consideration that's existing standards for implementation of cross-border blockchain infrastructure in an interoperable manner. So the entire architecture, they are talking about changing it. They are talking about the governance of that one. They are talking about the legal interoperability, technical interoperability, because when they talk about interoperability for money, one government to another, they need all of these things, and Ripple is the only company who's working on that. If you look at this particular table, you can actually understand that. They look at DLTs, interoperability, legal frameworks, authentication, and authorization of identity. And then you come here, consensus interoperability. That is still there. DLT system interoperability, they are considering everything. So when we actually go through white papers like these, you can actually understand there are a lot of potential in this particular asset. Now it's a lot to read, but the key, if you look at, is interoperability first thing and security second thing. How many blockchain or distributed ledger companies are providing this, working with regulators, central banks, and governments? So that's kind of the area which we are heading. Now many can actually say no, it's not only that. They are not naming Ripple, they are not naming XRP. It's up to you. You can actually neglect that. That's completely up to you. Now this document, it's not a big document, but still it gives big giant informations. Like when we actually go through that, they actually talk, everybody is on the same page, sharing the same roadmap. So when they talk about banks coming in, changing the models, using new technology, we are focusing on scalability. We designed the network to scale very fast to the production phase, and they are right now entering into that one. Now when they look at the pain points, they understand it's the legacy system, like the fragmented system, correspondent banking networks, all those things which were laid out 40 years back, and we're being adjusted all the way from there as of now. But what's the solution? It's looking at a consortium led by the DLT, the distributed ledger technology, is something which they are actually coming on. Now if you remember, we actually went through the documents from NTT Data, R3, SIA. Everything was kind of pointing us towards a blockchain technology which can be scaled, which has all those specifications which Ripple has, right? So when we now look at R3's Coda, they are pointing us towards R3's Coda. From one bank to another, how they transfer, from one country to another, how they transfer, and all these things are kind of giving us a perspective of things are going to change quickly. And if we don't adapt to that, we may actually get left behind. Now, these are the 5 macro trends which the entity data is showcasing us. First, cashless society. What did I show you first? We talked about that. Then the digital ecosystem, how it's going to change. The rise of e-commerce, and when we say e-commerce, I can sit here and buy something from India and get it delivered here. Now yes, the current situation doesn't actually allow you to fly those things quickly, so it will take much time. Then payments data, cross-border commerce. So e-commerce from cross-border is there. Now if you look at all these parameters like financial inclusion, cross-border commerce, whatever they are using here, is being used also in a RippleNet's website. If you go there and look at the Ripple Insights, you'll understand these are being talked there. Now, this document is not directly saying it's XRP they're going to use. Instead, it's showing you the trend where we are headed. Now, this is a recent document showing the new era of digital payments. When we talk about era of central bank digital currency, these are what we are targeting at. When we look at different markets, different pricing, say 25 US trillion from Asia charged to that debit card, credit cards and all, now it's everything is going to change. With this technology in hand and governments entering into this one, it's going to change from top to the bottom or bottom to the top. It depends upon what kind of adoption rate and what kind of approaches governments will actually adopt for themselves. Now, when we look at China, we just saw that they are going to replace the entire system. If they are trading with India, they will use their cash. In between, if they are trading with Russia, they are going to use that. So BRICS country is coming together. In the similar way, others will also be coming into that way, right? Rise of digital ecosystems. This one also is starting from China. They are actually maturing in an era of payments. We are still way back behind. If I compare South Korea or even India, we can't even compare India because it's majority cash being handled there. Even an advanced country like South Korea doesn't have a payment system like China. But now it's going to change. Everything is going to change because the cash is being sucked out. So you have to go digital. First thing. Government is actually trying to educate you how to use these wallets, how to use these cards if you are not using it as of now. So step by step, they will actually teach you how to move into a tokenized economy because they talk about tokenizing everything in this world. Now, this document about payments 2024 India, it's actually worked by BCG and Google. So, it's kind of a well-researched publication in which they went through all different types of payments and what we have to understand. When we actually look at rise in adoption for digital payments, it kind of shows us, India is a country with a lot of population, first thing. Then, majority of individuals are using internets. So, the partnership with fintechs are actually high, which is kind of pushing the banks to the other side. Even if Facebook is coming in and competing, there are not only Facebook competing with the financial institutions and banks for the payments. There are other fintechs, right? So, these are also not only fintechs but also financial service providers now. So when they actually talk about that, payments, fintechs span a broad landscape in including wallets, integrated POS system, P2P payments and cross-border transfers, and have attached the largest share, which is 35% of overall fintech funding. We have to actually understand that money is actually coming in, investments are flowing in. Why? Because they understand this area is going to boom in next 10-20 years. This is going to be like next Google, like next Microsoft. So those who understand this early are coming in because digital payments is going to be the huge thing for the next 10-20 years. Many things have changed, like information, as Brad always talks. Google came in, Gmail came in, the email system actually changed everything and how we transfer information. Now it's the value, right? Everything is actually changing. Now, previously we had Internet of Things. Now, Internet of Information, Internet of Things, we are connecting that with Internet of Payments. That's Internet of Value. So as we come to kind of the bottom here, say in this one, we can actually see they are again talking about leveraging next generation technology. For example, tokenization of security, biometrics of authentication by Apple Pay. So first, they talk or they consider tokenization. When we always talk about digitization and tokenization, you really have to understand this is being implemented from one nation to another, whether it is advanced or developing or underdeveloped country. They are kind of trying to increase their GDP. So after this current crisis, it's actually going to go much higher. And this particular article suggests 3 sleeping giants in this crypto market, which will be giving us the major profits, are like these. First, they show you Bitcoin. It's going to break out and it's going to go much high. That's the perspective of that analyst. And then he talked about Ethereum. And then comes XRP. He shows you the chart of XRP Bitcoin and it's kind of at the bottom. So those who buy low to make profit would be entering here, accumulating the positions here, considering the price even in USD, it's not much high. It's still at the low. If we zoom out and look at the all-time high and as where we are now, it's kind of 95% down. So automatically, real investors would be coming in. So the targets would be so high, at least if you consider BTC chart, it would go back to the all-time highs previously. And at the same time, when BTC is increasing in price, it would take us much more higher in the term of USD. Then finally we can see this. Now this is not only affecting for Bitcoin, I also saw it for Ethereum network, like the fee is increasing. As they don't have that much scalability with them in that system, they actually need a scalable system. So previously, last time we saw that whenever they are getting congested, they are moving into XRP ledger to use it to reduce their cost, they reduce the time consumption. So automatically, once they understand these things, the governments and central banks would never go into these kind of, even though we can say it's a breakthrough technology, it's still kind of, that old age technology compared to RippleNet and what XRP ledger can provide us. So when we see new people coming in, they will also understand these. Now we came here early, so we understood this early, right? This is the advantage of using this particular thing, and now the price is slowly going to the upside. If we look back on XRP chart, we'll understand that one, right? So we'll just end the video here, just looking at XRP. We can focus here, understand that the price is moving to the upside. Keep your eye on that price target of 0.265 and 0.27. If it breaks, then buy. That's what I'll be going to do. Now that's not a financial advice, that's just my opinion. If it goes to the upside, break that level, give you a confirmation and dip and correct and go up, that should be a good area to consider for every investors, because this asset has already went way below in price. Guys, that's all for today, and if you received value from the content, do support the channel, hit that like button. And yet again, this is an educational video, right? This is not a financial advice for you to take out your money and put that into investments. You'll have to read through these documents which we present here. We'll be putting all of those in the description below, so you'll be able to read through that knowledge, increase your knowledge base and invest. So guys, I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.